Well, g'day everybody, it's Ray here. A lot of viewers have been asking me to do a breakdown of my gear. I always said I would when I finished the trail. So I'm going to flick the camera around and we'll go through everything I had with me at the end, and I'll come up with my new base weight. And we're going to start off at the moment just with all the clothes in that I used to wear while I was hiking. Okay, so we'll start at the bottom and we'll work our way up. So obviously, I think this is an extremely important item, was the footwear. And I stuck with the same footwear through the whole trail. So I had the Topo athletic Trailventure boot, and I did explain a lot of people will use a trail runner, but shoes, footwear, that's a real personal thing. You've got to find what works for you. It's got a really wide toe box and I've got a really wide foot, but also my tendon on my right ankle is completely torn off the bone. So I've got a lot of instability in my right ankle. So I needed the high top here to help support my ankle. I've also got quite a dodgy right knee just from too much sport when I was younger. And if I have a heavy shoe on, my knee would hurt. So I had that issue when I chose my shoes, that if I went with a heavy boot and really supported my ankle, I'd end up with knee problems. If I went just with a trail running shoe, it'd be lightweight, that would look after my knee, but then I had no support on my dodgy ankle, so that would cause me ankle problems. This shoe was the perfect hybrid for me. I did do independent shoe reviews during the trail. I did start to have lamination problems, and it would start on the strip of the tread on the bottom was starting to delaminate. I've got to hand it to the supplier of Topo Athletic in New Zealand. As soon as he saw that and I mentioned it, replaced under warranty free of charge. This last pair is just looking perfect. I'll get a little bit more life out of these ones. And then we sort of go to the inserts. So you may not need these. You could normally just hike in your shoe and have the inner sole that comes with it. Some people will put a more comfortable inner sole. I had plantar fasciitis at the start of the hike, and these were inserts that I got in Australia before I left to sort out my plantar fasciitis. With those also came a flash insert. But if I flick it over, you can see how smooth my insert was, and it covers most of that inner sole. Now, it sort of sticks to each other while it's dry, but I had big issues as soon as I did river crossings and my feet got wet, that this inner sole was just sliding down, and this was curling up here behind my toes, and it was scrunching up in front of my feet. I had no room for my toes to move when I was going downhill, and it caused me a bit of grief. So I took these out when I had river crossings, thinking I'll put them back in, I should be okay for a day. And I did that in Arthur's Pass, and believe it or not, no plantar fasciitis problems. I didn't even put these back in. So they worked wonders and took my plantar fasciitis pain away. So I was really, really lucky with that. I will put links to as much of this equipment that I'm talking about in the description on the video. I use merino a lot. So I use the creepers socks. I started off with a medium-sized sock and then went up to a bigger sock because your feet do grow a little bit on a long-distance through hike. I have way too many pairs of creepers socks. The downside of merino is durability, but those socks, personally for me, they lasted really, really well on the trail. I ended up putting a couple of pairs of my socks, almost brand new, in the donation boxes for other hikers coming through in case they wanted to try a toe sock, because I just couldn't carry them all. And I had more pairs coming in my bounce boxes. Merino wool though, or any wool, when you wash it, it can start to go quite hard. And one thing I was thinking, how can I deal with this? Because I didn't want to buy a big thing of fabric softener and then I use one little scoop of it and waste the rest of it while I was on trail. And I never thought of it, I just tolerated it, even though the tips of these toes became a little bit sandpaper-like by the end of it. But my mother said shampoo is actually act as a fabric softener as well, and if I had been onto it, I would have grabbed the little bottles of shampoo when I was in accommodation that provided you with your little soaps and so forth, and just poured a little bottle of shampoo in with my wash, and that may have solved the problem. So if you're following me, maybe give that a go, and it could help. On to our gaiters. I'm stuck because I've got Topo Athletic. If you look on the back of my shoe, you can see the little clips there. So you have to, they've got you have to buy their gaiters. And if I flick this one over, there's the two little hooks that clip onto the back of the shoe. So other types of gaiter won't really fit the shoe very well. The one issue I found with the gaiters, you can picture my foot in the shoe with the gaiter on. When you walk on some of the trails, the path's not very wide, and as you walk along, the heel scrapes along here, and I was constantly getting holes where the gaiter was on this part of my boot. So these gaiters, they were good. Like, they kept a lot of the stuff out of my boot. Probably stopped me getting a lot of blisters because of that, but they did wear a hole in the side pretty quickly. They could almost just put a strip of more durable material just here, where everybody's heel would actually clip the side of the gaiter and make them so much more durable. But anyway, that's what it was, and they're quite pricey as well, but I was stuck with those. Underwear, again, merino, doesn't get smelly. I actually carried 3 pairs of underwear with me the whole time, thinking I'd probably have to change. I could have got by with 2 pair of underwear the whole time, but I just had that extra pair just in case of accidents. Then I've got my sun pants. So these are like a pant that's just a tight. You would have seen me wearing them most of the time. Maybe I should have gone with a cooler colour, not black. But they were absolutely brilliant. So I have a lot of skin cancer issues. I didn't want to be slip-slop-slapping with sunscreen. You always get caught out. You sweat or something, the sunscreen comes off. You don't realise you're exposed. Next minute, you're burnt. So I opted to cover up. The one benefit of these pants that I didn't even think of at the time was the sandflies. Couldn't bite me through them. So while everybody else around me was doing the sandfly dance, I'd just be standing there unaffected by the sandflies. So that was a nice little bonus. And there's nothing flash about these. It's just a Katmandu tight-fitting sun pant that you can get at Katmandu. My hiking pants, I did have to get a belt in the end because I did lose weight on trail, but this is just a pair of the nylon hiking pants. It's the only sort of non-merino item I had really, but they dry really, really quickly. And even though it's hard to get them these days, the zip-off bottoms are absolutely brilliant. So when you get into town, if you want to cover up a little bit, you can put the bottoms on as well. One of my favourite items is my merino base layer, and the durability really showed in my base layer top, and you've got to expect it. Like these tops, here's my top sitting here at the moment. This is an Icebreaker one, and I had to replace it a couple of times on trail, but I liked it so much I just kept doing it. But the shoulder pads will wear down. This was from Te Araroa, so it's still really, really new. If you look at this, it covers my whole arm, and I was hiking in a top, the same material that I use for my pants, but I just found I could hike in this merino and I didn't get too hot. It's also got a thumb hole here, so I didn't need to worry about gloves. I could cover my hands a little bit to protect them from the sun, although it would wear through this point pretty quick where I was holding on to my hiking poles. It's also got a little sleeve here, and I can pop it over my hand and it actually acts like a little mitten or a glove as well. So it was so versatile. It did have a little storage pouch, the Icebreaker one. There's a little zip down here. Never really used that, but the front zip goes all the way down to the bottom, so I could unzip it to help regulate my temperature. And perhaps my favourite bit, it comes with a hood. And that hood was just so good. When you just start hiking, it's still pretty cold in the morning, but the temperature's going to heat up through the day. If you get up, there's a bit of wind. I could just pull that hood up, put my hat on, and it just kept that breeze off me a little bit. So, yeah, probably my favourite clothing item in the end, the one I just really, really liked, and I missed them when they broke down a little bit and started to deteriorate until I could replace these, was my base layer top. Hooded, long sleeve, zip all the way down the bottom. Just brilliant. That was a really good choice, so highly recommend those. And then there's my favourite hat. And I appreciate some people were commenting saying they don't see me in a hat while I'm hiking and they're worried about my fierce skin in the fierce New Zealand sun, and trust me, it's fierce. Only time I never had this hat on was when I videoed and I was pointing the camera at me. This covered my face up so well, you wouldn't have even been able to lip read or anything and see me talk. I'll quickly just pause the camera, flick it round, and I'll put this on just so you can see how well it covers everything. So there you go, definitely not a fashion item, and this comes over my face as well. And hopefully you can see that I pulled it completely over my head. So if the wind blew and I was out there in bad weather, because this is quite a big peak on it, it would blow it off and it would never blow it down onto the ground. It always caught it on my head. I could just grab it and pull it back on again. And there is a hard strap or a strap around here I can do up on the back of this hat and get it really, really tight. But if it was, really cold, or sorry, really hot, but the sun wasn't out, like a hot morning or something, and I was in the shade, I could take that hat off and just flick it over and wear it like a normal hat, and it'd be a lot cooler for me as well. So that hat, even though this looks a little bit ridiculous with this massive, massive brim on it, it was absolutely brilliant at protecting me from the sun. The next thing is my spare clothing. So I just had this bag. This was just a more fashionable hat that I'd wear around town, or sometimes in the evening if I was just hanging around huts and that, and the sun went down a little bit or something, because yeah, even though that hat's good, it was a bit of an embarrassment to wear. Even though this is not clothing related, I had 3 things with me every day. I had a hydration tablet. That's another pack of hydration tablet, but basically in the same size. I had the Barocca immunity tablets as well, just to keep my immunity up. And then I had magnesium tablets. So they were quite nice to put a bit of flavour in the water, and obviously they have their use. The magnesium stopped me getting cramps, the hydration ones helped me keep hydrated, and the Barocca immunity helped keep me from getting sick. So every day I'd have a Barocca immunity, and then it just depended. If I was sweating a lot, I'd probably have a hydration tablet. And certainly there were stages there where I did start cramping at night time, not while I was walking. So I'd make sure when I was in hot weather with a lot of sweating, I'd take a magnesium tablet as well. And inside here, this was my waterproof bag. It was semi-waterproof, shall I say. I've got a compression bag in here. Now, this isn't my choice of compression bag. It was all I could get. And that's one thing I really picked up on trail. We all focus on weight, but another important thing is volume. So compression bags are really, really useful as well. So I'll just show you the extra items that I actually carried in this compression bag. And this just went in the outside pocket of my pack. So suddenly I got cold or something, I could get my hands on this really, really quick. If it suddenly got cold, as I said, I got my base layer where I had like a mitten thing that I could pull over my hands built into the sleeve, but I also had another little pair of merino gloves. That was just like a little skull cap. If you're like me, I'm not really blessed with a lot of hair on my head anymore. So a couple of times in those colder mornings when I started getting into the Southland district, it was nice actually to quickly pull that on. And then I had just a basic merino mid layer. This wasn't just keeping me warm if it was a little bit colder temperature-wise, but another item, and it wasn't in the compression sack, and this will make sense in a moment, that's my Macpac Travers rain jacket. Now, they always say that this will keep you dry and they're breathable. I don't believe it at all. Your rain jacket, if I was out in wet weather long enough, this always let water soak through. If I had my rain jacket on and only my base layer then got wet, and the wind would blow into this jacket and it would sort of blow that cold, wet base layer against my skin. And I still actually got quite cold, even though it was merino. The second I put on a base layer, generally it would soak through my rain jacket. Mid layer, would get a little bit damp, but my base layer would stay nice and dry, and I was really, really comfortable hiking like that. The Travers jacket was really good. We did have those issues. I got replaced twice. These toggles here, we ended up strengthening these, just the way these toggles are sewn in. I'll see if I can zoom in here and show you. But this little toggle, where they actually sew it into the hood, wasn't strengthened enough. So my mother actually got in there and put some more stitching in it, and then finally it lasted. A little bit of a shame to have to go and do repairs on a brand new product to get it to last. And a little secret item is in this pocket, and it was worth its weight in gold the couple of times I used it. So I'm going to just pause the camera, we'll get that out of the pocket, and I'll show you what it is. So there you go. That's what was tucked away in the pocket of my Macpac Travers rain jacket. This is a Dyneema rain skirt. So you can see the toggle here. You just pull it on over your pants that you're hiking in. There's a zip all the way down. I used to unzip it halfway, and that was worth its weight in gold. So if I was out in wet weather and rain, I found that a lot of water would sort of run down my pack and that, and then it'd go straight in at the bottom of my back, and all my underwear, my hiking pants, and my leggings, everything got completely saturated. And on a windy day, that made me quite cold. If I saw it was going to rain, I just quickly whipped out my jacket, pulled on this rain skirt, and then pulled the jacket over the top of it, and it kept me so dry. All I'd have to do is take my socks and my leggings off, swap them out, and I was fine to go to sleep that night. Nothing else got wet. So that was a really, really good and piece of equipment, and really, really light. That's just a Z-Pax rain skirt. I really, really like that. And one other little thing regarding your rain jackets, you've got to be careful when you wash them. You've got to use the right sort of soap, otherwise you will damage whatever waterproofing is built into those jackets. Now, when you buy a MacPack rain jacket, they're meant to give you a free wash pack, as I'm showing you here. I didn't accept it because obviously I bought a brand new rain jacket. I didn't need to wash it right away, and I didn't want these things because they're quite, I don't know, weak looking in my pack, because if it were to burst, I'd have a real soapy mess. So I actually popped into MacPack just before I flew home, because this jacket is due for a clean, and they gave me one of those packets so I can clean my jacket and I won't damage the waterproofing. So this jacket is about to go into the washing machine once I finish this video.